All right.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Dominique Jaramillo, and this is Maria Riegger. Many of you know her from Positive Parenting on YouTube. And we're here today to talk about the next Mercury retrograde. We've been together doing this all year through our air retrogrades. And today we're going to dive into the coming Mercury retrograde in Libra. So let's do it, Maria. Let's just go. We're two air signs here. We're just going to chat and go for it. Dive in because there's a lot of good stuff. But I'll let, we know this one's in Libra, which is a big focus on relationships and, balancing partnerships and stuff. So what are your tips and things that you've put together that you'd like to share about the retrograde? And we'll kind of go from there.
Sure. Well, Dominique, I really appreciate you having me on again. I look forward to it. I love these Mercury chats because this is, our jam. I love Mercury. I'm a Gemini. I have my Mercury and Venus in Gemini too. So I love talking about Mercury stuff.
Yeah. I'm Aquarius Sun and Aquarius North Node and Mercury.
Yeah.
So
there you go. So this is kind of our jam.
Yeah.
As Dominique pointed out, this is the third retrograde in air sign this year. We had Mercury retrograding in Aquarius earlier in the year, around February. We had Mercury retrograding in its home side of Gemini in the summer, leading up to that kind of Gemini Sag eclipse, solar eclipse. So that was interesting and very powerful. And this is our last retrograde of the year, thankfully, also in an air sign, this time in Libra. So Mercury is very much at home in an air sign since it rules Gemini. So, and Libra rules one-to-one relationships, balance, harmony in relationships, the kind of the give and take in relationships with your partner, with your kids, with other people that are close to you. Now, since it's retrograding, those dynamics may feel a bit off. One of the big things that Dominique and I always talk about is watch for your potential miscommunications during a Mercury retrograde. So here, what you need to watch out for are those potential miscommunications in your one-on-one relationships, mostly your partner and your kids. So I would suggest that you think very carefully before you speak to your children and your partner. Always ask yourself, will my words be productive? Am I being clear in what I want to communicate? Will they understand what I'm trying to communicate? Am I speaking from a place of love and care, or am I just speaking kind of to blow off steam? That kind of thing. Are my words going to be helpful and productive to my partner and to my children? And if you're not convinced they're going to be helpful, productive, or be understood from a place of love and caring, take a step back, maybe take a few minutes, blow off some steam, and try to reword what you want to communicate. Because communication is really important here. We're not saying don't communicate during the retrograde.
Right.
It's still very important. It's just that you need to stop and think about what you're trying to communicate in a clear, loving way. And Mercury retrograding in an air sign gives you the potential to be detached and see things from the other person's point of view. So this is all a good thing. It's just extra. It's a good transit. It's just extra things we need to pay attention to.
Yeah. I think one of the things that came up for me big too, in thinking about that and the way we want to communicate and be considerate in our communication, was listening and, also, and asking questions. I know parents always repeat themselves. It's like part of the deal, right? So you have to repeat yourself more, but also asking, do you understand? Are you, repeat, do you get what I'm trying to say? Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? Or, or I'm trying to have you, be more sort of explaining why you're asking them to do something, and listen a little bit more about their response. So it's a little bit more too of that sitting back and taking into consideration what their response is. Or if you're struggling, okay, why are you struggling? Like, how are you feeling? What's going on? And having a little bit more of that listening. So I think it's for parents where a lot of times they're just talk and telling what to do, but also you just slow down, use that to slow down and listen more and, consider what they might be going through, and that this may be a difficult time for them to communicate and to share what's going on with them, or they're not sure why they're frustrated. They're not sure why they don't understand, that kind of thing. And so our patience level as parents has to be a little bit more amped up as well. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So people, and parents especially, we're very good at, telling other people what I guess, what they're doing wrong, so to speak, or how they can improve. But we also need to be able to receive the constructive criticism ourselves. And part of that is from your kids.
Yeah.
Ask your kids, what can I do to be a better parent? What can I do to make you feel more comfortable about this? What can I do to help you get through this?
Absolutely.
Let's find a solution here. And listen to them when they're saying, well, sometimes my son has told me this, sometimes, you overreact a little bit or you raise your voice. And that makes me, I don't like that. That's a fair criticism. And he's right. Mm-hmm. So, so that's how we improve as people, is you're saying, listen to what the other person has to say about you, as long as it's obviously coming from a place of constructive criticism, love and care. Right. And be willing to work on yourself like you want other people to work on themselves.
Absolutely.
So, and this is a great energy for that, because of that. Libra is all about the give and take in relationships.
Yeah.
So, and Libra is a relationship oriented sign. It seeks out relationships. So it's driven to maintain and work on the relationship. So this is all good energy
and harmony, and we want to get along. Simpatico. Like, it's easy to get triggered at other times, but I think the benefit of this time is to allow us to set back and think and go, okay, normally I might think this about this or react this way, but let me just listen here. Let me just take a pause and let me ask a couple questions and see if I can really get in here and understand a little bit more. It's going to benefit, So let's step back for a second. Let's give the logistics of the actual transit too. So we entered shadow yesterday. It's September 8th today, right? 8th. Mm-hmm. So Monday, we're Wednesday. So Monday it went into the shadow right there with the new moon, and it will actually go retrograde a week after we go into Libra season, September 27th. So this will occur in Libra season. So we're preparing for it literally while we're in Virgo. And then it's going to move from 10 to 25 and then back from 25 to 10, which will go direct October 18th. And then it'll move out of that shadow on November 2nd. So that's why it's like this larger, picture we're trying to give. So we're feeling into it now. And then of course it'll be lingering. And then there's a couple of really interesting sort of, I'm calling dances with other planets during this time. One of which is the Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius and Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So this retrograde in Mercury is going to trine the Jupiter and square the Pluto. And that's going to have 3 parts of a story as well. So things that are coming up towards the end of September here, right before it goes retrograde, are going to be some of the things that we may be rethinking, talking about again, having more than one discussion about, or a particular issue that comes up. And then the struggles with trying to navigate that maybe, or letting go of old habits or old ways of, connecting that just aren't working. And if you really want to recommit or reinvest in the relationship, what has to change? So those are the things that are coming up. Mars dance is in there as well. They meet when Mercury's retrograde on October 9th at 16 Libra. So that's going to be a point of potential like breakthrough or contention, depending on where you're at. But also the ruler of this Mercury retrograde is Venus. And Venus is something we definitely are going to dive into, because she's ruling this retrograde, and she will be in Scorpio for majority of it, September 10th through October 7th. And then in Sagittarius for that October 7th through November 5th. So let's talk about the sort of ebb and flow and process of this retrograde and what you think stands out to you the most. I know Venus being the ruler and in Scorpio is a really, really juicy part of this retrograde that I think we can all benefit from if we're open to, being vulnerable and looking at things. So why don't you dive into that? Because I know that's a Scorpio passionate, part of you.
Oh, exactly. So as Dominique knows, everybody in my household, we have strong Scorpio placements. So anytime there are like some strong Scorpio transits, her body's like a little more intense and passionate than usual. Yeah. Get a lot of door slams and things like that from my 11-year-old. Not really door slams, but it's just like, I want to be alone. I want to be alone right now. So of course, then like after 5 minutes, he comes and seeks me out. Will you play with me? So it's adorable. As Dominique says, so on September 10th, Venus is moving into Scorpio. So it'll be in Scorpio for much of the retrograde period. Not everybody is comfortable with this placement. As Dominique was saying, it's, an intense, passionate placement. I personally love this placement because it gives a boost in intimacy and vulnerability to relationships. And while we're not always comfortable being vulnerable in relationships,
Right.
I'm an air dominant. So being vulnerable is necessary for a fulfilling relationship with your partner, and also with, close friends, even with your kids sometimes. So, so that this placement, the Venus and Scorpio transit, gives us a real boost to be able to be vulnerable to the intimacy, to seek attachment with other people. And that's great in this kind of air, Libra and Cardinal, air dominated retrograde that's coming up, since the Sun and Mars will also be in Libra during most, if not all, of the retrograde period. Right. So that placement, the Venus and Scorpio placement, it's a placement that seeks soul fulfillment more than kind of the mundane day-to-day concerns. So you may want to just, set things aside, set kind of the day-to-day tasks aside to make time to spend with your partner, quality time to spend with the kids, because this placement promotes bonding and attachment. So you want to take advantage of those feelings and set time aside to spend the quality time with your partner and with your kids. That's what I would recommend for that part of the transit. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's great. And I mean, in Mercury's retrograde, we have all these outer planets retrograde. So there is this ability that's kind of pulling us to slow down, so why not slow down and really like focus on that time and bonding time and listening and nurturing, and that's my thing, nurturing astrology, right? So
that's right.
This is the aspect that can really be the juicy opportunity to nurture your closest relationships, and being really honest and open. And I think even with your partner, your co-parenting partner, your husband or wife or partner, that you can have some honest, maybe even brutal conversations during this time that don't have to be so, heated, but rather, okay, let me just honestly tell you how this makes me feel, or how I think we should approach this or that in terms of raising our kid, or, especially when you have people who are not together trying to co-parent, and where can we meet in the middle? And that can be really intense too. So I think having honest conversations and being willing to say, hey, this hurts, or that I don't like when you do that, or I think this is best. Okay, how do you think, things should go, and respecting and listening. So I think setting into allowing that vulnerability to actually penetrate our personal relationships so that we can then be better for ourselves and our kids, as another way to dive in. But then towards the end, when it moves into Sag, then it's like, okay, cool. Like, let's have a little bit of fun. We've done some deep work. Like, let's celebrate that we got through that and have some fun. But also there's freedom, and we've like honored each other and our thoughts and our pain. So there's mutual respect that's naturally built and expanded by going deep. So it's like going deep within and then coming out and being like, yes, okay, everybody feels better. Everybody feels heard. Everybody feels respected. Everybody feels loved and honored for what they feel or think or need. And so then you have this natural ability to have better relationships. I mean, I think it's kind of a beautiful way that it's operating.
Right. And remember, like, focus on the positive moments, right? Part of the connection with your partner, with your kids, is creating positive more moments. You want to have way more positive moments than negative ones.
Yeah.
And the Venus and Sag transit, like that placement, certainly promotes that.
Yeah.
Creating the positive, fun times. Hey, we're going to be in fall very soon. So go like visit the pumpkin patch, other things like that. Just have fun, have a good time. Don't worry about the schedule so much. A Sagittarian person would tell you, well, time is a construct, time doesn't exist. So I get that all the time.
That's funny.
So don't think about the schedule, the time so much. Just go and have fun, and just let the hours go, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you look at the arc too of the year, and in terms of information and the context, it's like we've had all of this swirling information, and then Gemini is just like taking in. And now this is like, okay, how do we really integrate it into our personal lives and our relationships? Because they've all been affected by all of the noise and the information all year long, which naturally has affected the kids and the family and the whole thing. So it's a nice way, I think, of coming back and going, okay, everybody, let's let's, settle into this crazy year we've had, another crazy year we've had. And how are we doing? How are you doing? Like, how are we navigating? What can we do better to make sure that we're being kind and loving to each other and ourselves, and respecting each other's thoughts, opinions, feelings, on a greater scale and on a personal scale, for sure.
Yeah. And you bring up, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Finishing your thought. You brought up a great point about like self-care. So, the Libra energy, Libra is a sign that's very good at seeing things from the other person's point of view, sometimes too much.
Right.
And the individual gets, your own wants and needs get lost. So when we're talking about provide the care and love for your partner and your kids, also provide it for yourself. Yep. Because with the Libra retrograde energy, you may be thinking too much about what the other person is thinking and feeling and going through. Also, this is a great time to delve into thinking about what you want your life to look like, your job, your relationships, especially. And this is the time for data gathering, for thinking about that. Yep. Not the time to make permanent decisions yet. Wait till Mercury goes direct for that. But think about what you want too, because it's so easy to get lost in what other people want. And in the day-to-day of being a parent too, what the kids want. Don't be afraid to set some boundaries and tell your kids, hey, I need some time for myself. Think about what you want to. That's important to remember.
That's a great point. Yeah, because, definitely we're always accommodating the kids. We're always accommodating everyone else's needs as parents, and what, even what your partner needs, what everyone needs for the house, and so it's a good time to slow down and go, okay, well, I need to also do some things, and we need to find some balance here. And also the idea of not knowing, right. And not having to make answers, because again, Mercury in Libra is indecisive by nature too. Yep. And so you're like going, oh, maybe this and maybe that. And so being able to just sort of be in that flow of not knowing, which is a great motto I have come into. I don't know. Right. It's liberating. Right. I don't know.
Let go of the outcome.
Yeah.
Just
let go of that.
Yep. Let go of it.
Yeah. So it's just like, be honest in the moment, the present moment of how you feel and what you want, and explore those things without having to come up with the answers yet. We don't have to know. So that's another sort of nurturing concept, to just let go of the need to know or have the answer just yet. But let's just be in the discovery process and understanding and respecting each other's feelings and thoughts. Oh, that's interesting. And take that in, as opposed to, coming back with your own thought or perspective onto somebody, but just listening. So I do think that the Mercury retrograde in Libra can facilitate healthier listening,
Right. Absolutely.
and going within and having a little bit more compassion and care in our communication. You were saying something interesting about the full moon in Pisces.
Oh, right. So that's interesting. When I was researching for our talk today, I remember the date. So on September 20th, we're going to have a full moon in the sign of Pisces. And as we always, Dominique always talks about on your Facebook page and your group, that the full moons are about, releasing things, culminations of things, sometimes endings of certain periods or phases of your life, right? Yeah. So this is going to be a very emotional, fertile energy, because it's in the sign of Pisces, associated with the 12th house. So 12th house being kind of an open gate, right? Yeah. So I see this as like going into the retrograde period. So obviously the 20th is during the shadow period. Mercury is shadowing. So this is the opportunity to kind of release this emotional buildup ahead of this cardinal air dominated season we're about to have. Right. Yeah. So that's something else. Anything you need to let go of, emotional tension, things like that. This will be a really good opportunity for that. You do your full moon meditation, Well,
we just had our new moon in Virgo, right? So setting the intentions about the new types of practices we want to put in place. I was just journaling yesterday about, I had a meditation. I was like, oh, I really need to make this more of my daily practice. Like, even if it's just sitting here holding this like really heavy stone I have, right, that just sort of grounds me, because I'll maybe have, oh yeah, I'm eating better, I'm working out daily, but I'm not sitting still sometimes long enough, So we've had this opportunity to think about how we want to integrate better habits and practices that are good for our health and overall wellness. And then at the full moon, really releasing any thing that's holding us back from making that a practice, and the pain or hurt or wounds. And then we go into this retrograde that's like, okay, So now that I'm kind of working on being whole health, motivated here, like how can I now be better in my relationships?
Right.
How can I
Exactly.
now navigate my life in relation with others, whether it's the way I speak to them or care for them or, whatever, love them from this new place,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's I just kind of got the goosies on that. I got the goosies.
Well, this
Like,
whole, a lot of the transits
love.
happening this year have been about us working on ourselves as
Yeah.
individuals, right? Culminating that we had the Gemini Sagittarius eclipse right
Yeah.
after Gemini, or during the Gemini Mercury retrograde period in Gemini. So this has been a lot of like soul searching for a lot of people. And now I feel
Absolutely.
like people's lives are kind of, they're getting back on track. They know themselves a little better now, as you
Yeah.
said. Now it's like, okay, work on yourself, right? So you can be present for all your important relationships. So this
Yeah.
is a really good, this transit period coming up is a really good time to do
Yeah.
that.
And we're headed into, we still have this Aquarian energy, and we're headed into that
Mhm.
last square at the end of the year with
Mhm.
Uranus. And I do think we have to individuate. We have to be our unique selves, but at the same time, how do we fit into the group? How do we fit into
Right.
and, have compassion for the group,
Right.
for everyone. And that's been a big part of the process too, is being forced to go in and figure that out for yourself so that you can then be a better citizen, a better parent, a better, community member and all of that. And I know even, we'll talk about that later, but even when Eugenia had quoted Gemini Brett, like I always do that, fix yourself to fix the world. I'm an Aquarius and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like,
and she's
so
an Aquarius sun too.
I know she is. Yeah.
Yep.
So, so I was like, oh yeah, I live by that motto, and I never had heard it in those terms. And I was like, oh,
Right.
that's so what I do as an 8th house Aquarius sun, that is what I do.
That's what you do. Like fix yourself to, because you, that's the thing, like your whole, your life path is about working on yourself to be able to give the best of yourself to the world. So what you said actually, so Robert Hand said that in his book, Horoscope Symbols. He said almost the entire journey of life is figuring out how to maintain, I'm paraphrasing him, right?
Yeah.
How to maintain your individuality and still be part of this
Yeah.
societal consciousness, right?
Yeah.
So not losing yourself in society. I have the opposite problem. I want to be an individual too much. I have to work on how to fit into society, right? Because being reclusive is just too easy for me. And some people it's the opposite. Like I like my own company. I like to be alone. Like some people it's the opposite. They don't like their own company, or they like it less. They don't want, they need the external validation from people, or they just want to be part of something bigger, and it's almost like they would rather lose themselves in that. Right. So you have, obviously this is a continuum. It's not one or the other, but that's the whole journey. And I think that's what you just said. That's what Robert Hand said too, is figuring out, he's a Sagittarius, so
yeah,
he knows what he's talking about. So it's about figuring out existing and accepting yourself as an individual, and how basically you can benefit society, fitting into, not fitting in, but your place, your life path vis-a-vis society. Absolutely. While maintaining individuality. Yeah. Absolutely. And Aquarians know that. They do that really well, because they're, your individualism is important, and you also want to be part of something larger than yourself. So
yeah, absolutely. So I think looking at where the Mercury retrograde is happening in your chart or your child's chart, and the aspects that it's making, where Jupiter and Pluto are transiting for you, where these points fall for you is going to show you the picture, if you're where this is this new moon happened, and then where the Mercury retrograde is happening in Libra. Like for me, it's the 3rd house. So this is all about my, the way that I think, the way that I teach, all integrating, but where this falls for you is going to, or your child is going to open up the story and sort of really show you where the relationships, like if your kid has it in the 3rd house, maybe they're dealing with friendships at school. Right. You may have, relationships with your work people or your community or your partner, but they could have friendship issues, and Aquarius is a sign of friendship. So there is maybe that, or if it's in the 10th house, your career situation, the people you deal with every day. So where that's happening can also sort of show more of the story for you as individuals. Because we're looking at this as this large arc and kind of showing you the story. And then when you look at it, how it lands on your chart is obviously where it's going to be able to give you more insights into your specific, you know, relationships or situation, if it's work or home or friends, you know, or personal, you know, you need to be in therapy and you just need to go and spend some time in therapy, talk therapy or something, and working on your own stuff. You know, if you don't have family you're dealing with, or a job situation, it might just be a personal journey of just going within, you know, and talking privately with somebody you trust. That was another thing that came up with this situation with Venus, was trust, you know, and finding somebody that you trust, that you can confide in, that isn't going to judge your thoughts or feelings about things,
or share them,
keep
them confidential. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to find trusted companionship, you know, usually, you know, like my husband, he's my ride or die. I know I can say anything to him, you know, but it's fine. Sometimes people have a hard time finding that group or those people or companions that they can confide in. And our kids need to feel that they can come to us. You know, we want them to be able to come to us and share.
And then if they tell you, you know, don't share this, that you don't share this unless there's an absolutely, you know, sometimes there may be a reason you have to share something. But to the extent that it's not something urgent or emergency that you have to share, keep your kids' confidences, especially if you have a Scorpio kid like mine. Man, once you break the trust with them, good luck getting it back. I mean, because Scorpios, we talk about this before, Scorpio people, they do not trust easily. And the kids don't trust the parents. They don't automatically trust parents just because they're the parents. A parent has to earn the trust of a Scorpio child, just like everyone else. And they accept that. And once you have the trust, you know, that's great. Don't do anything to break it. But like you said, somebody trustworthy who will keep confidences.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Do you think that are there any other tips you want to mention?
I wanted to point out one other kind of general tip for the Mercury retrograde in Libra also, because we said, think carefully before you speak. Also, when your partner, kids, other people are talking to you, take what they say with a grain of salt, because, you know, you may know, oh yeah, we have this Mercury retrograde period. So this is why kind of communication is a little bit off, but they may not have this knowledge that you do. So a lot of people, they'll speak from the hip, or they'll say things they don't necessarily mean, or they'll say things out of they may be frustrated about, and this happens a lot, I see in relationships, they may be frustrated about something at work and they come home and take it out on the people closest to them by complaining about stuff at home. And it's helpful to, as much as you can, don't take those complaints and things personally. If you're hurt by something your partner, your kids say, try not to take it personally, try to take it with a grain of salt. That may be that they're frustrated about other things that have nothing to do with you or the house or your relationship with them. This happens with kids a lot, because kids, very rarely will they tell you, oh, this happened and it made me feel like this and this and this. They just don't have the words yet to explain. So it'll come out like, I'm upset about that I can't have more game time tonight. And they start to cry. And you're like, well, this has always been the rule. Why are you so overreactive today? Well, it may not be the game time. It may not be the screen time. It may be something that happened at school that they just haven't shared with you yet. So always that's why step back, don't take things personally. That's, you know, that would be my other big recommendation for that.
That's a great one. I'm always doing that. I feel like, you know, I have astrology in the brain, right? As all the time. So I'm always going, oh, okay. I witness my surroundings and like how people are behaving. And I'm like, okay. And if I'm triggered, I know that's me going through something that right. And not everybody has that in their toolbox or recognizes it. And we just react.
And we tell ourselves, I feel this way now, I feel bad, but I'll tell myself, but I know this is a very temporary thing. I will just relax, and tomorrow I will not feel as moody, because I'm a very moody person, right? It's just how it is. I mean, Geminis change their mood so often. I think this mood will pass in like a day or even a few minutes, and this mood will pass. Just keep on, keep it on. And it always does. So just tell yourself that this is temporary, this transit, this mood, whatever, this feeling is temporary. We are not our feelings. We are observing our feelings. We know we're not our feelings because we can observe them, right? So we're not the feelings. So those are temporary. Feel whatever you need to feel, then release it. That's a healthy way to do, especially coming up with the Pisces new moon. Going to be a lot of feelings. Every time the moon's in a water sign in my house, I know everybody's going to be a little bit more emotional than usual. That's just how it is. Especially if the moon's in Scorpio at my house, it's like, forget it. Everybody's going to be emotional, and it's just going to ride it out for like 2 days, 2.5 days, and then it'll be back to normal. That's temporary energy, right? Remember these transits, the energy, they always serve a purpose and they're temporary, right?
That's right. That's great. That's a great reminder to leave on for sure, because Mercury moves fast and moon changes time fast. Like, yes, that's true. Very true. It is. It will change. This too shall pass.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, this was awesome. I think we've covered everything.
I think so. Yeah.
Some good tips and goodies
Definitely.
for people to consider during this
Definitely.
upcoming retrograde. So yeah, definitely follow Maria on Positive Parenting with Astrology on YouTube, right?
Yes.
And thank you for being in the group here, Conscious Parenting with Astrology. If you're watching this elsewhere, come over and join us there. It's a beautiful growing community. I'm so excited that it's growing, and hopefully we can, keep nurturing our parents with this awesome tool of astrology. And I'm sure we'll be back again soon. I know Maria and I have some other things we're going to chat about. And again, we'll have her back because this is our jam, and we hope that it helps you guys too. It's always fun.
Dominique.
You're welcome. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you so much. All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.